was on a cold autumn night in 1821, when the thunder of hooves signalled the return of the wealthy 15th Earl of Shrewsbury back to his home, Alton Towers.
Boring. This Vekoma Madhouse was in the year 2000. If you haven't seen this already a million times, then you've been living under a rock. Or a log, in this case. So, before I ruin your childhoods, I'd like to welcome you all to this video. After speaking to numerous ride-ups, it's pretty clear to me that facts and figures on Hex are certainly few and far between, with many saying conflicting information. Even information inside the Vekoma Madhouse manual was incorrect when correlating to Hex specifically, as Hex is a special kind of madhouse of which I'll be discussing in this video. If you do not wish the illusion of Hex to be shattered, then please turn off this video. But give me a like, a dislike or a comment before you go. Even a subscribe would be nice. If you want the information that I'll be presenting as fact, with no solid figures behind them, because absolutely no one can give me a definitive answer on the technicalities here, then please continue watching. Thank you. Okay, so first things first, you may or may not know this, but the start of the ride itself is actually located within the original ruins of the towers. The rustic theming and excavation scaffolding were added to the original ruins to give that more explorative effect. It's during this particular stage of the ride, which you're seeing now, where you're actually leaving the original ruins and entering a show building. An incredibly themed show building, might I add, that makes the transition from authentic ruins to the showroom a seamless experience. The show building itself, which looks like a glorified farmer's shed from the outside, houses the entire ride. If Hex were to ever close, then the show building would need to be removed as part of an agreement keeping the ruins separate from the show building surrounded, with the ruins being a listed building. So now that you know that, how does the ride work? As soon as you enter the main showroom, before you even take a seat, the benches inside are already tilted before you even sit down by around 20 degrees. Take this with a pinch of salt, as I couldn't afford a bloke or a protractor to confirm this information myself, but the angle of the bench already adds to the feeling of rotation before the ride has already begun. You're on an incline. The ride begins as you see a rather scary log in front of you, like the ones you get after a Sunday dinner bellyache, and the mind-boggling illusion begins. The ride is actually split into two sections. Firstly, a gondola swing, which is a hydraulic system that tilts the benches around 25 to 30 degrees during its pendulum-style movement. The pivot mechanisms for the swing are hidden by two huge theming pieces at the end of each side of the room, as you can see here. The second part of the ride, completely separate from the pendulum, is a six-sided drum that rotates 360 degrees using booster motors. Something very similar was also constructed in the Christopher Nolan movie Inception, where the actors were placed inside this rotating drum, and that's how the beautiful cinematic shots were filmed for that movie. The drum rotation and the bench tilt are so perfectly in sync that the mind-shattering illusion appears seamless and real. It feels as though you're going upside down. The ride actually starts out with the floor and room moving together, but as the ride continues, the swing begins a separate movement from the drum and gives the illusion of the room rotating backwards and forwards. Subtle lighting changes add to the disorientation, and some riders even complain of nausea after this really strange experience, with many even feeling it in the pit of their stomach as though they were in fact going upside down. Now don't worry, the ride doesn't actually go this slow. I've slowed the footage down because I like to talk a lot and I need to fit as much information in as I can before people start commenting below that everything I've said is completely and utterly wrong. we move. Even when you know how the ride operates, it still doesn't shatter the illusion, which is insane. It's that well done. Hex accommodates 78 persons per ride pre-COVID, and Hex is one of the rare few Vekoma Madhouses to accommodate this number, as a standard person per ride for a Vekoma Madhouse is 48 people. Hex is a rare breed of madhouses currently in operation that can also rotate the benches up to 30 degrees, although members of Alton Tower staff have said 25 degrees numerous times to me, with 15 degrees also being mentioned in a behind the scenes video. But it is in fact the smaller seated madhouses that can only hold 45 people that tilt to 15 and not in fact Hex. And this was an older manual that some Alton Towers staff were quoting. So even Alton Towers had the wrong manual for the wrong ride, it seems. With no official figure on this that I know of, I'll say the degrees will be in the 25 to 30 mark for safety. Hex is a wonderful ride, but for me the pre-show does drag on far too much. The theming is stunning alongside the natural ruins surrounding it, and the ambience of the ride, in addition to the aroma prime scents and more, just create that wonderful experience. A fan favourite at Towers that gets a ridiculously long queue, although re-rides do mean that you have to go through the laborious pre-show over and over and over, which does wear a little thin after a while. I really wish that there was like a fast track queue that you could go in separately to skip the pre-show. It's not like the Wicker Man where the pre-show's over very suddenly. There's a very long time you're in there watching those videos, and if you've been in there numerous times, it does get a little dull. Although for me, Hex is the one ride that I'll do once a year at Scarefest, and that's my yearly Hex thirst quenched, and that is it. Love to hear your thoughts in the comments box below, guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I've been Sean Evans, you've been watching Lift Hills and Thrills, praying to God that I've got this video right, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye!
Tree in chains, a house falling, a vault sealed for 2 centuries, a ride that ends on the other side. Hex, just on Earth at Alton Towers.